Hello, you're listening to iFanboy Pick a Week episode 1014. My name is Connor Kilpatrick, and sitting in for my co-host Josh Flanagan this week is our friend Dr. Ryan Haupt. How are you doing, Ryan?
Hi, everybody. I'm just trying to stay warm and dry.
Josh took a run for the border.
Adios,
he had enough, and now he's gone.
Last we saw, there was a giant rolling stone chasing him down the corridor.
And he decided that the United States was just too dangerous. He's trying to kill him, actively kill him. So he took off. So we will carry on without him. What are we doing here? Welcome to our show. We talk about this week's comic books. We've been doing it for 21 years. And this week, one of us picked the book that I like the best from the stack of comics. So we called that book the Pick of the Week. We're going to talk about that book. Other books from the week, the Patron Pick, the listener mail. It'll be fun. And here's your spoiler warning. Exercise some caution this week. Ryan's pick was the one.
Yes, and I thought this was a really strong week of comics. I had a lot of fun reading my books. There were a lot of things that really solid additions to the pull list. But for me, the most fun I had this week was Batman Superman World's Finest number 48, the start of a new arc, Dark Mirror. And I had a feeling I was going to like this one when I saw the cover, because you got Ultraman and Owlman right there. And I actually don't know that I've read a ton of Mark Waid doing the World 3 characters. I'm not surprised that he has proficiency with them and a deep knowledge of them, but I really liked Mark Waid's characterization of these two characters. I would say a lot of times when I see the World 3 characters, which are the Injustice League or the heroes as villains, everything's flipped.
Yep.
I feel like they are kind of done in a pious and haughty way, whereas these versions of Owlman and Ultraman were kind of more bombastic and openly villainous in a way. I thought the opening with Thomas and Martha Wayne and the way this version's Bruce kind of was complicit in their murder was like chilling. Joe chilling. And I like that Ultraman's kind of big and dumb, and it was a lot of fun. I also want to do a special shout out. So story by Mark Waid, art by Marcus Toe. It's a Dan Mora cover, so you have to take the little bit of a step back that it's not Dan Mora interiors, but that's understandable. But the colors are still by Tamara Bonvillain, who's colored a lot of Dan Mora stuff and has colored this book all the way through. And I actually want to give a special shout out to the colors, because I think having her consistent on the book gives it the same feel, even if it's not the same artist. I think she's just giving it a tonal vibe that makes it feel like cohesive and a part of a whole, even if the artist is switching.
Yeah, it's God, she's great, but I do wish they would get away from the teal Superman. But I've got my comic on my page view. And if you do that, that's a great way to see the color scheme of a comic. You just sort of see the colors without the art, when the art's there. But this book is so red and yellow, which is really interesting. I mean, I'm just looking at the pages, and it's a very red and yellow comic.
Yep.
Which is interesting. I didn't even look at that before, but you're right. This has a feel to it. I like Marcus Toe. He's one of those DC guys. He did a lot of Red Robin back in that Red Robin era. He did a lot.
And I thought his version of Talon, Owlman's Robin, was really strong. There were two different Talon designs that we got to see in this book, and they were both really interesting visually and worked for what the story is doing.
So it should be noted, this is the second Mark Waid pick in a row and the third Superman book in a row. Which is funny because we just don't think about it. Like, it might be hard to imagine, but we've been, like I said, doing this for 21 years, and I don't, when I'm making the pick, and I'm assuming you're the same way, Ryan, is that I don't even think about what was last week or the week before. It's just all about what's in front of me on the plate. And
independent draw.
I didn't even realize it was the third Superman book in a row until I was filling out our spreadsheet that keeps track of all the picks, and I thought, oh, it's the third Superman. So it's just interesting. We're on a Superman run right now, but I thought this was super fun. Like you, I haven't read like a million pages featuring the Injustice League.
I think it's the Injustice.
Something else. Aren't they called something else? The Society of Supervillains or something like that. But I don't know if this is a new idea or Mark Waid brought it, or if it's from the other books. But it felt kind of like the Ultimates, where on Earth 3 there was a bunch of syndicates. It wasn't like the Justice League was in charge, maybe they haven't even formed yet in this book, but here, like there's all different all the heroes are criminal syndicate heads. So
right.
like,
Ultraman rules Metropolis, but not the whole world. And
right.
Owlman rules Gotham.
And you have mentions of other heroes and who are, have their own fiefdoms. And that was interesting. I loved the fights between, the Metal Men and the Doom Patrol.
Those were both really excellent. I also think Hero Riddler is a fun take on that character.
Right. I actually really I laughed out loud because, Owlman's chasing the hero, the good Riddler through like an Axis Chemical type of place, and the Riddler tries to give him a riddle. He just kicks him. He's like, I don't care, and he kicks him into the vat of chemicals. He's just like this Batman doesn't give a shit about your riddles. I thought this was fun, and then the whole thing is a MacGuffin, right? It's like there's something that is considered to be very valuable and will give the holder of this object power in the world, and that's what Ultraman and Owlman are chasing through the whole issue through the various crime groups. And the reveal on the very, very last page is that it's Batman and Superman from Earth 1, manacled and chained. So I thought this was great. I mean, this was a really great issue. I saw the cover last month, and I was like, oh, okay, Earth 3. Haven't done that in a while, and this is just, it turned up being like a high octane, super fun comic. And you're right, like the characterizations are, kind of dopey Superman or Ultraman and Owlman. It was great, and the art was terrific.
Mm-hmm. And has James Gunn said he's going to do some Metal Men stuff, right?
Who knows?
I don't know. I'm excited.
There's a lot of things to develop.
This issue made me excited to see some big screen Metal Men action, because they're just it's such a ridiculous concept. I feel like if DC gave me a book to do, I could do the most obnoxious Metal Men book out there because of my deep love of the periodic table. And, and we also, there was some good Superwoman action too. Lois Lane is the Superwoman of Earth 3.
Crime Syndicate of America is the team name I was searching for.
Okay.
That's generally what they're called on Earth 3.
So when I go to pick up my CSA for community supported agriculture, I need to be careful that I'm not actually joining the crime syndicate.
You never know. I love that Mark Waid has this love for these. I mean, he clearly loves the DC universe, but like the Metal Men and the Doom Patrol, and he's constantly bringing characters into this book. It's not just Batman, Superman, and Robin. It's it's characters from all over the DC universe. This book feels the most like a part of a world, and it's Mark Waid's own little bubble world, and it's wonderful. It's such an odd thing to have in a shared universe company like DC to have this sort of creator-driven bubble where he has his own continuity, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think there's
48 issues. That's like a hell of a run already.
Plus, they had the Teen Titans miniseries.
It shows no signs of stopping.
I feel like there might have been. Well, we had that crossover with Justice League Unit Unlimited, but that was sort of a time travel. I mean, I guess they kind of want us to think this is the past, but it doesn't make sense at all. So it just kind of exists in its own world, and to have DC have the guts to do that is really quite spectacular. Yeah, the Robins were fun. The Talons, who are just terrible at their jobs, and then
but he just keeps a cage full of extra youth boys to
fill his shoes. Once the Talons, he tries to introduce himself to Ultraman. He's like, I don't care. Like it's just fun to play with the villains, right? Like villains are fun.
Yeah, because they get to be completely over the top. They don't have to hold themselves to any moral code. They don't have to be consistent.
Right.
Yeah, you can't break them. They're already bad, or they've already broken bad.
Yeah, I was looking. Marcus Toe is really good at like. I struggle to how to properly praise him without sounding diminutive, but he's like a solid artist, right? Like he's really good and really solid. He's not like going to blow your socks off, although occasionally he'll do a really, really good page, but he's going to tell you a great story. He's going to have great character designs, great character work. His pages are full. His panels are full. There's not a lot of like blank background panels in his work. He really fills the page.
Ultraman always had the upside down pentagon. That felt like a design tweak that I thought was really clever.
I think he has. I think
Okay.
it's part
For
of the
whatever
thing.
reason, I thought he had the normal right side up pentagon just with the U in it. But I guess if it's the upside down was a nice twist. Whether it was a twist or not, I noticed it more this time than I have in the past.
Well, the old version he just had a U on his chest.
Mm.
Yeah, no. I'm looking back through old images. He's always had the upside down crest on his chest. Yeah. Yep. That's just him. So this is fun. I mean, Mark Waid continues to find new areas of the DC universe to explore, and it'll be fun. I like a story like this where it drops you in, and already the heroes have been taken. Like we didn't see that happen, and we get now either find out or we just assume how it happened, and that was fun. And it was a nice cliffhanger. We're just like, oh shit, that's gonna be bad. Because it's just Batman and Superman against a whole world of villainous heroes. You know, they don't have a team behind them, so it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. But I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You were right. It was a very good week. I don't know what I would have picked. I had several nominees for best book of the week, but and we're going to talk about a lot of them on the show. Let's talk about Fantastic Four 734 number 8, where much like Batman Superman, this one got me in that it's a 90% of this comic is like a Elseworlds, not like a multiverse story, but they don't tell you that. So you're reading it, you're going, wait, what's happening? And then something big happens in the middle. You're like, wait, what?
It's like imagine a world where Sue Storm was as aggrieved from the start of the Fantastic Four as she should have been back in the 60s.
Right, like it's pissed off as Ben.
Yep.
So this is the middle of this arc, this Invincible Woman arc. This is the third part where Galactus showed up and he said, "Find Sue Storm." And so
he didn't show up. He embedded a message in the cosmic background, which right. I remember. I was listening to that episode, and Josh was saying, "Like, I hope that's a real thing." Josh, it's a real thing.
So we're following, and this issue starts sort of like a flashback to the beginning of Fantastic Four before their mission to space. Then they go to space, and then they come back and we see all the familiar missions. Fighting the Mole Men the first time, and then
the Skrulls.
Doom and Skrulls and it all makes sense. You're like, oh, this is like a delightful retelling of the origin for some reason. And then Stu gets more and more powerful, exponentially powerful. And we know that they've been playing with that in the regular Marvel universe. I think they're
basically, if she can use her powers to affect the behavior of photons, she should also be able to do that to other fundamental forces of the universe, including electromagnetism, gravity,
which radiation. I think is a dangerous road to go down personally, storytelling wise. I get that they expand her powers from just be turning invisible to making her able to turn shape, because create invisible shapes, and that's okay. And then they've expanded it further to inserting shapes into people's nasal passages or hearts or whatever. But here they really make her like the most powerful being in the universe, which I was like, this is a door once opened, it's hard to close. But then we find out that she has a really bad dream in which she's fighting all the villains in the world and kills them. And she wakes up and finds she has killed everybody on Earth except for her brother. And I was like, whoa, what is happening? And it turns out this is an evil Sue from another dimension, because Galactus says basically if the universe is getting bigger, then all possibilities exist, including this other Earth with a evil Sue.
Wait, so it's not a different dimension. It's not a different alternate universe. It's just another planet in our universe that happened to go along the same trajectory closely enough that they ended up with a Fantastic Four.
Right.
But a slight variation on them, and it led to this evil Sue Storm, Invincible Woman.
There was a lot of science talk in this. How did you feel about it all?
I love it. I love Ryan North's science talky talk. Ryan North is one of the best science talky talkers out there.
How did you feel about the invisible skull?
Very, very grossed out by that. But I'm for all my, my joke with people is like, I became a paleontologist because I wanted to wait until all the fleshy bits were gone, and I just wanted the bones. I don't want all the fleshy bits. So I can be a little bit squeamish about those things.
So Sue feels really guilty about having killed everybody, as you would imagine, and so she has Johnny perform brain surgery on her.
She lobotomizes herself.
Yeah, she turns her skull invisible in various degrees, so you can do it.
But I also thought that was a nice commentary. I mean, because
muscle and bone and brain, and I just. Ugh.
But like back in the 60s, like husbands would get their wives lobotomized just for without their consent, and just because they were being a little too uppity for their take.
Little mouthy.
Yeah, so I thought this was an interesting play on like, okay, well, at least she's choosing to self-lobotomize herself, not being have it forced upon her by Reed.
Because I couldn't not see it when I turned that page and saw the head. I hadn't gotten to the dialogue yet, so I didn't know that what had happened. So I was like, did she just peel her skin back? Like I had to take a moment for a second.
Right,
It was
just
really
making
gross.
making it invisible in layers.
Yeah. I thought this was really good.
Yeah, it was really
this was
good.
This is one of my nominees if I'd had pick of the week. And then, so the Fantastic Four, our Fantastic Four, show up to where Galactus is, and he's the one who's like, in the Reckoning War, apparently the universe has been expanded, and so that's why there's more room for more possibility. And he's trying to warn them, but then the Sue you see on the cover from the John Byrne era, the evil Sue shows up, and so they're gonna have to fight and presumably kill Sue. So that's interesting.
Well, she's invincible. How are you gonna do it?
Somehow.
I feel like I should have, as I was saying that sentence, I feel like we should have cut to the Amazon show title card. Well, she's
this is such a good book, and Humberto Ramos is such a great pairing for this. He does such weird cartoony stuff really well. There's a scene early on where
he's very good at the exaggerated human form.
Yes, the car that they're in loses its wheel, and so Reed becomes the wheel briefly, and that's just a weird, crazy drawing. And then the aforementioned Sue Skull situation, and it's just a lot. He gets to do a lot of weird, gross, but awesome superhero stuff at the same time, and he's just perfect for this book. I've always loved him. He's one of my favorite artists, but
he's in upper echelon, upper pantheon for sure. He's one of my favorites as well.
All right, well, Ryan and I are going to congratulate ourselves for having the same favorite artist. We're going to be back right after this. Okay. Ultimate Spider-Man 24, the final issue. This is the first Ultimate book to end. We've had other books that are still going. Ultimate Wolverine seems to never end. Ultimate X-Men might have ended last week. It was hard to tell. But this one ends. Jonathan Hickman, Marco Cacchetto, and David Messina, and the end of the story of the Ultimate Parkers. What did you think of this?
So, the issue I have generally with these sort of alternate takes on our favorite superheroes is I noticed this primarily with Elseworlds in DC, is it irks me when, because these alternate versions don't have to be serialized and continue on forever, they can just straight up give the characters a happy ending. And so I'm always thinking to myself, oh, so it'd be better, like Peter Parker's life would be better if evil Reed Richards, the maker, had ruined it from the start. Because now he's got Mary Jane and 2 kids, and Uncle Ben is still alive. So it's like, so our 616 Peter's life is worse than this alternate version. Well, got everything. It reminded me of the end of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where it's like, what happened to the boy who got everything he ever wanted? He lived happily ever after. Like that's this. Where was the consequence? Like there was no negative consequences for
May's dead. May was killed by the maker, so that's one.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I very much thought they were going to kill the son.
Richard. Oh, I think that would have been a bridge too far.
But they were setting it up. That was like the inevitable outcome, and I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like the part of Spider-Man of like, with great power comes great responsibility, but also like with all the choices he makes, there's always a consequence, and so there were no consequences.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is. We've been on record. I don't enjoy this book that much. I think Amazing Spider-Man's generally much better. Well, than not this week, but this kind of storytelling is totally fine for me in an Elseworlds one shot or miniseries format. When you're talking about, this world now, this Ultimate Universe is ending, and there's going to be another one to take its place. So I can understand why they give him sort of the happy ending here, but you can't. In a serialized story, you can't have the happy ending ever. There's no reason why Peter in the 616 world won't end up with Mary Jane, won't end up having kids, won't end up living a happy life. It just we'll never see it.
We'll never see it. Yeah. Well,
that's just the way it goes.
It was the Elseworlds where Superman lands on, or baby Superman lands on Apocalypse and is raised by Darkseid, and by the end of the book, they've Darkseid has re-entered the Source, and Orion is married to Lois Lane, and Clark is married to Big Barda, and everyone's happy and everything's fine. And I'm like, wait, so it'd be better than if he was raised by Darkseid than the Kents? Like, that's absurd.
I mean, this book was mostly drawn by Marco Cacchetto, who I love. Not as big a fan of Dave Messina, but he's fine.
Well, it also didn't feel like the times where the art shifted. They tried to do it in scene breaks, but it still felt, it was kind of jarring. I thought
it was like the major fight scene between Spider-Man and Kingpin, and then Venom Son and the other stuff, which I don't even know what that was. That was Cacchetto, and everything else was sort of.
Cacchetto is has become, ironically, from his Daredevil run, has become one of my favorite Spider-Man artists. Because there's a scene in Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run with Spider-Man in it, and I was like, "Ooh, this guy's good at Spider-Man."
Oh, I was marveling, I was marveling at the little moments. Like, he did the really big action stuff really well, but like, there's a point where Peter has, basically beaten up Kingpin, but his son is in trouble, so he goes to save him. And there's just like a 3-panel sequence where he jumps silently into an elevator shaft. It's just a beautiful drawing of Spider-Man hanging in space that I just loved. Just a little drawing. And then 2 panels later, he's wrenching open the doors. Again, it's just a beautiful drawing of that. I just love the little storytelling stuff that he does. That's just really nice to look at. Kingpin and, is that Mr. Negative? Is that the guy's name?
Yes.
They fall off a building and die. And I mean, everyone, there are things that, Harry Osborn's in trouble. His wife died and then was resurrected by the Mysterios. Now she's sort of all Mysterios, and they're the new Kingpin. And so his life sucks. But, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. I wouldn't want to read this forever. I'll probably, if this was like an ongoing, if it was an ongoing, I probably would stop. But it was fine. The issue was good. The issue was good. The issue was good. The Cacchetto storytelling, the fight scene with Kingpin, the stuff with the sun. I never really cared that much about. I was just bugged I was so bugged that Black Cat's hair was black. There was not a lot of color contrast in her. It's just all black. She wears black leather. She's got black hair. She's got dark skin. Like, part of the white hair on Black Cat in the 616 is because it's a high contrast to her leather, and so they should have just kept the. She could have still had white hair. Just little things like that bug me, and it's just like a change for the sake of change. It doesn't do anything.
I mean, it's not like Marvel. It's not like the Marvel universe. The Marvel universe has history with giving African or African American coded characters white hair, or Aurora Monroe,
but
chief amongst them.
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was. It was fine. If you really liked it, you could.
I enjoyed it more than I didn't. But it definitely, I felt like it had highs and lows that swung a little bit wider than most books that I continue to read all the way through, if that makes sense.
Yep. We had another new Vertigo book. We had the first of the new Vertigo books last week, which was the zombie book from Dennis Camp. This is End of Life #1 from Kyle Starks, Steve Pugh, Chris O'Halloran colors. The color copy we had didn't list a letter, so I don't know if there was a letter. But this was also up there.
I mean, there had to have been a letterer.
Someone lettered.
There are letters in the book.
Someone did it, but they didn't tell us who.
There was a typo in the lettering in this book, but
that's why it was shame. They wanted to keep the name out of it. I think this was terrific. This was one of my favorites of the week. This was Kyle Starks doing comedy Kyle Starks with Steve Pugh on terrific art, and it felt very much in line with the stuff that he was doing over an Image of. Like funny hitmen, funny organizations of criminals, people making really dumb decisions that caused them big problems. And
I didn't like this as much. I liked it a lot more when he got to the small town and started interacting with that cast of characters. I really struggle when the main character of the book is a terrible person who's supposed to be terrible, and everyone agrees they're terrible, and they have seemingly no redemptive qualities. It's the reason I couldn't read Scumbag Beyond Issue 1. I just was like, the world has these people in it, and we as a society are dealing with them and their badness, and I don't get a lot of pleasure or joy out of experiencing it in my fiction.
That's totally understandable. I really like that he was really good at his job, that is of being a hitman or mercenary or whatever, but he was really stupid. And that stupidity is the reason why he's in such a big trouble. Although it wasn't really even his fault. So he's part of this organization where everyone in it is an animal and wears
Animal themed
masks.
assassins, yeah.
And he is the stallion, and he gets hired by these other criminals to help them rob somebody who's got really rich and powerful.
As soon as they showed the Edgar Allan Poe bust, I was like, okay, I know where this is going. Which is funny. I mean, it's a good.
It was a good gag, and him being too stupid to even know who Poe is.
Well, they also got they said quote the Raven, not quoth the Raven.
See, well, none of these guys went to college.
That wasn't the typo. That was just the characters, I think, being dumb.
So he realizes that they're robbing like one of the high people at his organization. So he's in trouble for that reason. So it wasn't really his fault, but he's basically screwed anyway. And so in order to escape, he has to go back home, basically to the small town that he was from, Pluto, population 1,814. But they had a theme park that was kind of like a Disneyland, but it turned out that the guy behind it was a white supremacist Nazi, and so it got closed down. And now that guy, in a really great reveal at the end, is like the crime boss of the town. I thought there's a lot going for this. It's like everyone's irredeemable in a way, but it's funny. It's so over the top that it's funny, and I'm looking forward to more of it.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep reading it, even though you didn't like the main character?
Oh, it's a good. I'm very on the fence. I must admit. Like I love this creative team. Kyle Starks, Steve Pugh. It's great. Steve Pugh was the artist on the Flintstones book that Mark Russell did, which is one of my favorite books of recent memory.
Sure.
And so I love getting to see his art again. But yeah, it'll be a game time decision for me on this one, if I'm being honest.
I'm happy that we're getting a lot of new Vertigo books. We're not going to read them all. We're not going to like them all. That's the thing about a line of comics. You can get stuff you like, stuff you don't like. Didn't really love last week's book, but really this one really got me, and this is why I kind of love Kyle Starks. This is the kind of humor I like what he does. He even had some funny cartoons in the back, like strips from the characters in the theme park that were funny. It just totally worked for me. There was his childhood girlfriend shows up as his dad's nurse, and like he's, you think at the beginning the story is going to be about him and the syndicate, but it's really about him going home, dealing with his dad, dealing with his childhood sweetheart, dealing with this gang. And I'm sure, of course, that a bunch of people in animal masks are going to show up at one point, but it's just it's one of those things where Kyle Starks throws a lot of things in the bucket and then shakes that bucket, and then it's really fun. So I really like this. Luckily for you, I didn't have to pick this because this might have been the pick of the week. I don't know. I hadn't decided, but this was up there. All right, another quick break. We're gonna come back right after this. Here we got not another, but a new Image comic, White Sky #1 from William Harms, J.P. Mavinga, Lee Lowridge at Dukeshire. I took a flyer on this. You took a flyer on this. What did we think?
Yeah, knew absolutely nothing about it going in. Don't know that I've read anything by William Harms before. It's sort of an interesting it's a play on a post-apocalypse. That's the apocalypse is caused by a giant ghost. That's an interesting enough premise. I kind of was did you read the essay in the back?
Yes, and as almost always, the essay illuminated the work much more than the work did.
Yeah, well, I can
Not
tell.
That it was bad, but there was a lot that was confusing that made sense after you read the essay. So
yeah, and I could tell that this was some sort of mystical apocalypse rather than zombies or aliens or whatever. And I thought it was interesting enough. The author openly references The Road and The Last of Us, which feels, appropriate because it's a father-daughter duo trying to survive in the Bay Area, getting ready to cross the bridge. They get beset upon by raiders, but the raiders also expose them to the ghost, the boogans that are out there. A lot of boogans in this book. Salt circles and angel boogans.
So the idea here is that as he says, as he illuminates in the essay, which wasn't really clear in the book, was that he was watching one of those ghost shows, and they said basically, often in movies it's cold when the ghost is around, and so he decides, why is that? Because they suck up all the heat. So what if it was a ghost powerful enough to basically suck up all the heat in the world, and so the world's like covered in snow and ice because of the ghosts? That's an interesting premise.
It is, yeah.
I wish it had been more clear in the first issue. This was one of those comics where mystery was prioritized over clarity, and you needed a little more clarity in the first issue. I didn't find there was a whole lot to be excited about. There wasn't like a hook. You needed that moment in this first issue to reveal something that made you go, oh shit, let's find out about that. That never happened in this first issue. It was standard survive issue, and it was fine. The father-daughter, I don't know why the father's got black hair when he had blonde hair in their old photo, but it was survive the night, and it was well written, and
I found the opening sequence really compelling, just because it's visually kind of different than any apocalypse you've seen, because it's not super, it's bleak, but it's so stark in its like whiteness that
right, because of the snow, and that
just looks different in a way that I found intriguing.
And
then you get a sense of the scale of the problem when they see the path left by the mega ghost, and then I could sort of think that the more survival-y aspects of it were a little less interesting to me from there. And the father and daughter get separated, and the author says that it's very much going to be the daughter's story, so I guess I'm presuming we're going to follow her moving forward.
JP Mavinga's art I quite liked, and it was driving me crazy the whole time. It was reminding me of someone, and I couldn't remember who, and I still can't think of who it is. But there's someone where I was like, this guy is very much like that other artist whose
like
name
Jason. Is it Jason Burrows? Is that his name?
I don't know. I was thinking of page 11 on your digital reader, where the father is smiling at his daughter, and that face looks like another artist's face. I'm not saying he's ripping him off. I'm just saying it's a style that's very similar.
Yeah,
it's driving me crazy who that person is. But it was well done. I might give it another issue just to see where it goes with the girl Violet being on her own now in this world. But I was a little disappointed that it wasn't like a really compelling hook at the end that made me go, oh man, I gotta keep reading this.
So there's this podcaster and paranormal investigator, or like skeptical researcher named Carrie Poppy. She gave a TED talk about how there's a period in her life where she was truly convinced that she was living in a haunted apartment, like was having dizzy spells, cold spots, hearing noises, everything. It was carbon monoxide poisoning. There was a carbon monoxide leak in her apartment, and it was slowly killing her, but it was killing her in the exact way you would expect. So maybe this is just a worldwide carbon monoxide leak, Connor.
And it's possible. It's possible.
Check your detectors, everybody.
This was in no way bad.
No.
I want to make that clear. It just was, I was hoping for a little bit more that would make me go, oh, cool. Like remember that book where the gravity went away?
Yes. Skyward.
Something like that. Like that had a really cool hook.
Mm-hmm.
This one, ghosts cause the apocalypse. That's interesting, but not super cool. But I think it's. I'm talking myself into reading other issues with what's happening right now. So I think I'll probably check out number 2. But
nice.
It better really get something going. That's what I think. G.I. Joe 19. Chuck Wilson, Andrea Milana.
Duke hates robots. This guy is not a fan.
I love unhinged, angry Duke. Like he is so traumatized by his buddy getting killed by Starscream way back.
I mean, it was a traumatic death. I don't know.
100%.
If folks don't remember, Starscream slaps, Hulk slaps his hands together over his buddy, who was in a parachute too, right? Which is like, that's against the Geneva Convention. So
yeah,
not supposed to shoot the guys.
Decepticons don't give a shit about your rules. I just love.
You got to do it as Starscream.
If I do that, I'll shred my vocal cords. I tried it once and then my throat hurt for a day. I just love how like he sees a robot and he just goes like he goes like old school diva, like Sunset Boulevard.
No robot I know of is joining this G.I. Joe group.
But then he comes around pretty quick. I thought this was great. There's a lot going on here. Zartan, we find out he needs Energon to keep his powers going. So he is also he's directing the Joes to find Energon for himself because he's
pretending to be
Hawk. He's pretending to be Hawk. That was cool. Duke finally getting to talk to an Autobot, and everyone else being like, "This is crazy," but he's kind of cool. And the
Autobots. I know this speaks to our toxic nostalgia as 80s kids, but like when the robot starts waxing poetic about Optimus Prime, my heart was like, yes, he is the greatest of the primes.
I just want Optimus Prime to hang out with the Joes. So then, but then also like it might have been Stalker who was like, we need more people.
Yeah.
Like we're outgunned by Cobra. We're outgunned by the Dreadnoughts. If there's now evil robots, G.I. Joe better get quick in a hurry. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It was Stalker. Like you get some more Joes in here. And then, there's a lot of Mask and Matt Tracker. And the thing is, and Josh and I've talked about this before, I loved Mask as a kid. I had the Mask toys. I watched the Mask cartoon. Couldn't tell you one thing about him. That was the thing that stayed in the 80s. Like G.I. Joe came with me into the 2020s, but Mask stayed in the 80s. So I have no memory of anything other than the figures are really tiny and I like playing with them. But I think I love the audacity of just bringing in all these people together, bringing in G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mask, making this Hasbro shared universe and just going for it. Why not? We did this all as kids. I had a box full of toys and my superpowers fought my G.I. Joes, fought my He-Man, fought my Secret Wars. Transformers got in there. Like that's what you did as a kid. You might as well do it here. Have some fun with it. But this continues to be fun. And I'm glad you're reading it because this is, I think, a very accessible G.I. Joe book.
Yes. Well, I mean, part of it is because they're keeping the cast super small. So, I think they're foretelling their own doom by saying we need to make the cast a lot bigger. But but logically, the internal logic of the story makes sense.
There's only like 6 of them, so they need more. They need more help. I mean, the thing is, the other G.I. Joe book, which obviously I love, is partially it's got a giant cast, but it's got 40 some odd years of continuity. So it's like it's a lot. I think they could add more Joes here and still be okay. I know we're bringing back.
I want more robots personally.
Have you did you read all the minis too?
No. Well, yes, I read Cobra Commander because Josh wouldn't shut up about it, and we both, I think, kind of slogged our way through Destro. There are others that I'm.
Yes, Scarlet.
Yeah, I read Scarlet. Scarlet was really good. That was a fun one.
So here, Zartan as Hawk breaks the team up into small groups of 2 to go around on different missions. And one of the missions is he has Cover Girl go to hook up tactically, not romantically, with Snow Job. Snow Job was overseeing Scarlet's mission. If you recall, he was her support. And he says he's lost his undercover agent. So I think they're going to now bring back Scarlet and Snow Job into the mix. So we'll have a few more characters. And that'll bring that story over here. They're really teasing out when they're going to introduce Snake Eyes, and it's both frustrating and kind of awesome. I kind of respect it while being completely frustrated by it. But you're right. I mean, like once they really started talking about the Transformers with Duke, I was like, we're here. Let's do it. This is what I wanted as a kid. Like as soon as Optimus Prime shows up, it's going to be all over for me. I'm just going to pass out from joy. All right,
is Duke ever going to drive Optimus? Is that what's going to eventually happen? He'll be in the cab.
He doesn't need to be driven. He's all right. Let's take a quick break. Let's talk about how you can help support iFanboy. We are, of course, listener supported. And the best way to do that is at patreon.com/iFanboy. You can directly support the show, become part of a great community on Discord and Facebook, vote on the Patron Pick, get a Patron Power live on the show, and join the monthly Patron Hangout. And at $10 or higher, you can get an ad-free version of the shows. You can get the Pick of the Week show a day early on Saturday. Plus, you get access to the iFanboy After Show on Sundays, where we talk about all the books that didn't make the show. Rundown. It's a great time. There's a discount if you sign up for 1 full year, and you can now send to receive gift memberships. That's at patreon.com/iFanboy. Can you tell the teleprompter was really fast in the beginning? I had to slow it down. iFanboy.threadless.com. That's our merch store. We have 23 designs on t-shirts and more. Great stuff there. iFanboy.com/support is our digital tip jar. So if you're a eccentric billionaire, you want to throw some money in there, we appreciate that. iFanboy.com/Amazon is our shopping link. You can find links to old stuff there, but also a general shopping link where you can go. If you need to do any shopping, please do it through there. And finally, bookshop.org is our way to help local bookstores. If you want to order books through there, you'll find links where appropriate on the website, usually with the book explodes. And we appreciate everyone who helps support the show. We are not You know, on not a giant podcast network. We are not formerly famous actors from TV shows. We are none of those things. We are old school DIY podcasters, and that is a dying thing in the current podcast game. So we
We
appreciate
make
all
some
the
of the
support.
same jokes as those famous
100%.
actors. Bees.
100%. But we don't have that support. We don't have that built-in audience. We only have you, the people who've been with us for 20 years.
No one has ever asked us how we feel about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
Exactly, and I don't think they ever will.
You'll
So
get
unless
there.
you know, everyone's ever listened to the show comes back and listens, then maybe that'll happen. But we do appreciate everyone who helps support the show. We couldn't do it without you. We couldn't pay our bills. We couldn't replace equipment. We couldn't justify the time away from our families. And we thank you very much for your support. We do appreciate that. Let's talk about Absolute Batman 17. Scott Snyder on story as always, but Eric Canetti on art, who we haven't seen in a long time. I don't know where he's been, but it was nice to see his stuff.
Great. I mean, if you can't get Nick Dragotta on this book, Eric Canetti is a great option.
Except for the crazy mustache he gave Jim Gordon, and not in a bushy Jim Gordon way. It was like in a long, thin, off his cheeks way, which was a strange choice, but that was fine. You know, it's
So this is the introduction of the absolute Poison Ivy.
Yeah. There were things I really liked about this comic. I really liked the Bruce Wayne stuff. I liked his sort of anger and stress and not being able to get what he wants. He can't, Joe Chill won't talk to him. His friends are still mad at him. He can't find Killer Croc. He only finds his creepy skin that he's sloughed off. But
that's like a lizard and snake thing. That's not an archosaur. That was scientifically inaccurate for the crocodile man to shed his skin like that. That's not how crocodiles grow.
I liked the you know, the guy selling knockoff Batman, you know,
Axes.
merch, and t-shirts and dolls, and so he goes and kicks that. Like, I liked all that stuff. I just continually laugh at how every villain has to be this monstrosity.
Right. So hilarious. In the absolute world, Pamela Isley goes beyond just being obsessed with plants and figures out how to merge the DNA of all the kingdoms of life. What was interesting here is the story arc is named the Seventh Kingdom because Pamela has conquered the 6 kingdoms of life, which made the record scratch happen in my brain, because when I went to school, there were 5 kingdoms of life. So I had to immediately go figure out what is the 6th kingdom of life that I was unaware of. So it's Chromista, which is a somewhat debated potential, single-celled new kingdom of life. So for me, when I'm teaching the course at iFanboy University, I'm going to stick with the 5 OG kingdoms of life of Animalia, plants, fungi, Protista, which is bacteria, and Archaea, which are like the extremophiles, like the weird little critters that live in the geysers and the hot springs.
Wasn't there a character this week in the books who called themselves Animalia?
Was there?
There was. It may have been a book you didn't read, but someone had to give themselves a name, and they gave them Animalia.
That's us. We're animals.
Listen, in the absolute world, there's 6.
And I always so I don't know that this has ever come up on the show before, but on page 14 of your digital reader, special shout out for I love a biblically accurate angel. Right, just wings and eyeballs. That's all. if you actually look at how the Bible describes angels, they're just wings and eyeballs. And so to have Pamela Isley create a biblically accurate angel to fight Batman, I was into it. I thought that was hilarious.
So we have a lot of things going on here beyond just Pamela Isley. Bruce has a brief team up with Barbara Gordon, who is a cop still. So she shows up basically, and then there's a page 20, which gives us some teases of things to come, which includes the return of Jack Grimm to Gotham. Of course, we know that Jack Grimm is the Joker. There is Harley Quinn, or just Harley, they're calling her, and she seems to have some sort of gang. And then we see Dick, the EMT, who we've seen before. And so it is all in the shadow of Bruce as he walks, all these scenes. So clearly all to come. All things to come. So a Robin, a Joker, and a Harley Quinn to come. But, Poison Ivy being what she is, and then she looks fairly normal, but then by the end, it's just like she's been so absolutized. It's just so silly. It's just I just laughed. It's just there's not one normal villain in the bunch here.
But I mean, they're potentially setting
monstrosities.
her up as she could be the person who fixes Killer Croc.
Sure. Well, I thought he fixed Killer Croc with that arrowhead from Wonder Woman. So
The way this issue framed it, it sounded like the arrowhead was like slowing the progression of Killer Croc going, full like.
So it didn't heal him.
I don't know. That was my read of it.
It was fine. I'm not. The book is what the book is. I like the book, but it's just hilarious that all of these villains are just these grotesque monsters, and there's not a single one that isn't. And it's kind of silly at this point. I much prefer Wonder Woman, Superman for the reason that some of them are just regular villains and not over the top monsters who are 12 feet tall.
Yep.
Because when they're all like that, then it all loses its power. When I see another giant villain show up, I'm just like, okay, like we're doing this again. Those books we're going to talk about, but at patreon.com/iFanboy, every patron gets to vote that a book to the rundown. This week, the overwhelming favorite by a wide margin was the Muppets Noir #1 from Dynamite Entertainment. Story, art, and letters by Roger Langridge, who is making his triumphant return to the Muppet comics after more than a decade away. Colors by Deirdre Kelly. And this is hot in the heels of the seemingly very successful Muppets special that aired a few weeks ago. I never read the old Roger Langridge Muppet book.
No, me neither.
Our old co-host Paul Montgomery was a big fan of it. I believe it was pick of the week at least once. He's a big fan of that series, big fan of Roger Langridge.
And you're a big fan of Noir.
I'm a big fan of Noir, big fan
We've
of
actually,
Muppets.
I mean, and you've talked about you're reading through a lot of the old, LA-based noir novels. I also went on a Raymond Chandler kick at one point and read pretty much all those novels. So
I read all of his books. I've been going through Elroy's books. There's a couple other ones, Kaminsky, and another one. I can't think of the name at the moment. But yes, I've been trying to read those. But here we have set the scene. We are behind, backstage at the Muppet Show. Kermit is stressed. Nothing's going right.
Being kind of a jerk.
Piggy's not in makeup. Doesn't one of the guests not? Oh, one of the panda is supposed to play the piccolo. Ate the piccolo.
It was a piccolo made out of bamboo. What did you expect?
So he's having a hard day, and Scooter's like, "Go sit in this easy chair and read a book. We'll take care of this." And so Kermit starts reading a noir novel, and these clowns who are juggling bricks accidentally throw one, hit Kermit in the head, and he falls asleep with the noir characters in his head. So that this is all his dream of all the Muppets living in a noir
being
universe.
Flip Minnow.
And it's it's a pretty standard setup. He gets Kermit's the PI, he gets called in to the rich person's house. It's Piggy's family. She's missing. They want Kermit to find Piggy. The thing about a noir story, if told properly, is that the crime for which the PI is hired is never the real crime. There's always something else going on. I laughed out loud at how bad Kermit is as a PI when he decides he's got to go check the morgue, and he asks someone for directions, and it's Piggy.
Yeah,
and he just doesn't even realize that he's talking to the person he's been hired to find.
I actually laughed out loud multiple times reading this book. I thought there were some actual good gags and jokes. I thought that this is why I always say you have to wear a helmet while reading.
Right?
That's funny.
No, it was well done. And Langridge's art is got this 10% weirdness to it, where all the characters are recognizably the Muppets, but there's a little off, on the character models. But not to the point where you don't recognize who they are, but they're just a little off. Like Fozzie's a little skinnier. The Ratso's not as small. It's just a little off. It's fine. I'm scrolling through this trying to find some examples of it. But it was really well drawn. Looked beautiful.
I also liked
it.
The Poulet Blanc. It's that's funny for Gonzini's Club. That's good. It's a good joke.
I mean, it was well done. It's the same problem I have with all sort of licensed books is that, so much of what's charming with the Muppets is the performance.
Mm-hmm.
It's the movement. It's the voices. It's Kermit wobbling his arms, and you just can't replicate that in a comic. And that's what I find hard about all licensed books is you lose the acting, you lose the performance of it. But this was well done, and I liked it, and I love like we just said, detective stories and noir stories. So I'm going to read this. I think this is like a 4-issue mini. So
doesn't surprise me at all that Sam Eagle is a very fascistic cop.
Sam Eagle is one. He's really small. Like he should be much bigger than he is in the book. So like just little things like that. But it's fun. The idea that it's a dream is fun because then reality and the dream world can kind of blend together if that's the way they tried to go. And there's a lot of ways they can go with this. And how bad of a PI is Kermit actually? Because he doesn't seem to be a very good one. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
Fun. So good job. I liked it. Let's talk about the ratings on the Muppets Noir ratings. Number 1 out of 5.
Like a 4.25 for me.
Oh wow, okay.
It was good. It was really good.
I'm gonna go 4.8. No, I'm sorry, not 3.8.
3.8.
It was enjoyable. Are you going to stick with it?
If it is actually a 4-issue mini, as you've said, which they don't tell us anymore, yeah, why not?
It's definitely not ongoing. I think they said somewhere what it was, but I can't find it.
My favorite trope of noir fiction, which I don't know how much it applies outside of Philip Marlowe, but like if Philip Marlowe has a superpower, his superpower is to get hit in the head with a blackjack, pass out, and wake up to a clue. Like that's his power.
I don't know. I think his real power is managing to live and never ever take a fee for his work. He never, at the end of every story he says, nah, I don't want your money. It's like, what? How are you paying your bills? Sorry. So this is a 3.8 and a 4.25. We're both sticking with it. And would you have read it if it hadn't been a patron pick?
If you had it on your rundown, I would have put it on mine. The fact that I didn't see it on your rundown, I was like, okay, I guess I won't take a flyer on this. But then as soon as it was the patron pick, I was like, well, I have no qualms about reading this. I'm happy to add it to my list. So I think this is the first time where it's sort of like I'm Schrodinger's Muppets Noir. Like it was, the wave function had not collapsed by the time my hand was forced.
Yeah, I have to admit I have a Dynamite blind spot. I didn't even look at the Dynamite section. And so I wasn't going to read it just because I didn't know it was there. Once it was leading the voting, which from the very beginning, it led the entire time. I said, oh, okay. So then I checked it out. But I just have this you show me the Dynamite list and there's just a blank spot in my vision. It's just from years of avoiding them. So it's just, I need to fix that. So there you go. Patron pick, patreon.com/iFanboy. Every patron gets to vote that book to the rundown. But if you're a patron at the $5 or higher level, you get a superpower live on the show. This week, Ryan is giving it away.
Giving it to Matt Kelly. And you know what I think about Matt Kelly? I think he sounds like a pretty fun guy, Connor. And so Matt Kelly can control and command the fungus among us. Any fungus. Anything we were talking about Kingdoms of Life before. Anything in fungi, he can control. He's the Aquaman of mold. Aquaman of mushrooms.
And how does that help him in his fun life?
I mean, if he's a home brewer, he could get the yeast. He could command the yeast that turn sugar into carbon dioxide and alcohol. He can, if he's a forager, he can always find the mushrooms that he's looking for. Go and get some morels. Whenever people are talking about foraging for mushrooms, there's always like, well, is this one toxic? Can I eat it? He knows. He's got the command over their toxicity. He never has mold issues in his house because he can just say, nope, get out of here, you mold.
Okay, that's not so much fun as it is healthy.
There's a mold. There's a mold they've discovered growing inside the exclusion zone of Hiroshima that can absorb gamma radiation. So that's pretty useful.
Cool. So there's Hulk mold.
There's Hulk mold. There's a type of mold that grows only on the walls of rick houses at distilleries. So it is a mold that has survived or a mold that has evolved to live off of ethanol vapor. That's pretty cool.
Boy, that's cool.
Can control that. Makes a dynamite stir fry or mushroom risotto or any sort of culinary cooking with mold. He's expert at. There's a lot of molds all around us. I mean, before the internet, all like forests are all connected underground by mycorrhizal strands. So there's like an internet of trees talking to each other through mold tendrils. So he can get involved with that. He can fix nitrogen in the soil. That's a really useful thing to be able to do. So I mean, it's a pretty all-encompassing power. He's command over a lot of a very biodiverse group of organisms. I've often said that if I had to go back to school for biology and I wasn't allowed to study like sloths or animals,
Sure.
I'd be a mold guy. I think it's fast. Slime molds show signs of intelligence that seemingly shouldn't be possible for things without brains.
So he's king of the mold people.
King of the mold people, the fungus among us. He's a fun guy.
He's mold king. Thanks for being the patron, Matt. Patreon.com/iFanboy.
Oh, and his food never gets like no bread. Like bread stays good. Doesn't need to worry about a bread box.
I was so pissed. I was making these eggs for breakfast and I wanted to put cheese on it. I pulled the cheese out and the last 2 slices were moldy. Damn it.
But he could also, it goes in the other direction too. He could take a cheese that wasn't a blue cheese and be like, nope, mold it. You're a blue cheese now. And
Mold King. There you go,
Mold
Matt.
King.
Thanks for being a patron. Patreon.com/iFanboy.
His superhero name is Fun Guy.
Fun Guy. Okay.
Fun Guy, the Mold King.
All right. Let's do one email. Here we go. Jonathan B. from Baltimore, Maryland says, thank you very much for the fantastic suggestions to my first email about what graphic novels to put in the 2 individual unisex bathrooms at work. And I'm glad you found it to be engaging and an original question. This happened in Pick the Week 1006 for your reference at home. So listen to that first if you haven't heard that before. I've been meaning to update you for a while now about which books I ultimately went with. Batman Black and White Compendium and Green Lantern John Stewart, a celebration of 50 years. My supervisor asked me if I put the Green Lantern book in the bathroom. I said yes, and he said that he figured it was me. He didn't seem unhappy. I know he's got a bit of a nerdy side because we've had several Star Wars related talks. However, a coworker told me that another coworker said that she thought the graphic novels were, quote, a bit much, unquote, which is a statement I'm still thinking about weeks later. What does a bit much mean, like philosophically? I discovered that there was a 3rd work bathroom on the floor below mine. I considered putting Wonder Woman Black and Gold in there, but I'd really like to go with a Marvel book since the first 2 bathrooms already have DC books in them. Any suggestions? Do you remember this conversation from before?
I wasn't involved in this conversation before. I don't think so.
Did you hear this conversation?
No, I didn't listen to that episode. Sorry.
So he had these bathrooms.
I feel like I understand the premise.
They had tables installed in them next to the facility. So he wanted to put books in them and he wanted suggestions for comics. And we told him to go with anthologies because they're short little, stories. First of all, I can't answer the question about your coworker. What does she mean by a bit much?
So I have a theory there.
Mm-hmm.
So many years ago, I went on a road trip, cross-country road trip with my best buddy Jesse and an ex-girlfriend. And Jesse was at the time very, very into Scott Pilgrim to the point where he had the series had completed, hadn't been colorized yet. I think the movie had come out, and he was basically on the road trip. His reading material that he brought was just the 6 Scott Pilgrim graphic novels, and he was just reading them in sequence and just rotate and then just starting again at the beginning. And so my ex was trying to figure out, she's not a comic reader and was confused by Jesse's obsession with these books, and so she was trying to read them too, and she kept telling us that she didn't understand what was happening. Okay. And we were trying to be like, well, you read them, your panels go this way, and then you read the word balloons. And she said, oh, I won't read the word balloons. I'm just looking at the pictures.
Okay.
And so she had a weird mental block where she wasn't willing to engage with the words on the page. She just wanted the story to be told from the picture. So I could see someone who's not super familiar with the art form, maybe not knowing how to engage with it. And because there's more information being given to you visually than you get with a prose novel,
mm-hmm.
I could see where somebody who could say that feels like a bit much. Now they could also just be saying it's a bit much for this nerd to be leaving books in our bathroom for us.
It's either or. I think there's a very strong possibility this is someone who sees comics as juvenile and thinks it's a bit much if they've got juvenile books in the bathroom. Yep. Or it could be either or. If you want to be a dick about it, which I'm kind of endorsing, buy 3 copies of Understanding Comics and put those in there with them
mm-hmm.
so that they can understand what they're doing. That aside, if you want to have a Marvel book for the 3rd bathroom, Marvel does fewer of those anthology collections that DC does. Like DC, as we talked about last time, has greatest Batman stories ever told, greatest Superman stories ever told. It has the black and white collections and things like that. But Marvel has some compendiums. There's a series of best of Spider-Man graphic novels. But you may want to consider something like maybe Infinity Gauntlet, only because almost everyone saw that movie. You know, almost everyone saw those Avengers movies. That might give them at least something that
Yeah,
they can relate to.
I mean, that's such a dense, older school style.
Totally. I'm just trying to find something that people can relate to who have definitely seen the movies.
So I was thinking something out of the Loeb and Tim Sale color series. So Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Captain America White. I think my favorite of those is Daredevil Yellow. I think people are, again, not everyone saw the Daredevil show, but there's a familiarity, you know, the Ben Affleck movie and then the Netflix show and now the return on Disney Plus. So I think most people know who Daredevil is. Well, go ahead.
This is perfect because there is a collection that has all of them.
Okay, that's what I would recommend. It's also like the Spider-Man Blue and Daredevil Yellow are also very much like love stories. They're almost romance comics. I think Tim Sale's art is very approachable.
Yeah.
They're not as text dense because they're almost written in a more poetic style by Jeff Loeb. So I think those would be a good.
This is a really good suggestion. The collection is called Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale: Yellow, Blue, Gray, and White.
The gray was the Hulk book.
Yeah, so it's got Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Hulk Gray, and Captain America White all in one collection. That gives you, you know, characters people know. As Ryan said, great art, accessible storytelling. So that's a great option. I'm going to go with that one, unless you want to be going dense and try Infinity Gauntlet. But
I think Ryan's if you want to go dense
about the writing style.
I think if you want to go dense, I think you go Marvels. I think you go Busick and Ross.
Oh, I don't think that's that dense. I think that's a good idea. I think, yeah, Marvels
was Marvels Busick or was it Wade?
Busick.
Okay, I was right.
Marvels or the Jeff Loeb Tim Sale collection, and 3 copies of Understanding Comics.
Definitely put Understanding Comics in there.
One for each bathroom, and put a post-it note with the coworker's name on it, and slap it on the cover.
And I don't know if it came up when you guys first discussed it, but if you did want another DC book, there was the best of the collected Alan Moore DC, not Watchmen, but like his.
Pretty heady.
There's some good stuff in there, though. I mean, you've got the Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. I think they've included Killing Joke in that. You've got the F Sharp Bell, which is one of my favorite, sort of off the wall, zany Green Lantern stories.
Yeah, maybe a little dark though. It's a little dark for work.
I mean, my initial joke answer was Marvel Zombies, but I don't think that's the right choice.
Thanks for writing in, Jonathan. Thanks for following up and letting us know how it went. We always appreciate the follow up to the question. Feel free to follow up if you've written in and we've answered your question. You've gone with our advice. We would love to know how it goes.
I mean, I'm not far from Baltimore. Where's this bathroom?
Maybe you should just know in case you're ever around.
Right? It could come in handy.
Thanks for writing in. Contact@ifanboy.com is how Jonathan did it, and we appreciate everyone who writes in. We want to hear from you. Get on the show. We got lots of great emails. We can always use more. Just, we never know what your thoughts are. It's a way to get involved with the show. Let's talk about what's coming up, what's upcoming, or happened already the rest of this month. There's only really 1 week left. Somehow February is over already. I don't know how that happened. Previously in the month, we had our Media Explode. It came out February 12th. It was our 2026 Academy Award picks. That was me and Ron, and our friend Josie came on to talk about the Academy Awards. And did we have another topic? No, I think that was it. And then this coming Thursday, February 26th, our Booksplode review of Life Drawing, a Love and Rockets collection by Jaime Hernandez. So you can look forward to that coming just this week. And that's it for this month. It's a small but powerful month that is over now. So I don't know how that happened. I feel like it just started. I'm very confused. I
always think about Sylvester Stallone in the first Creed movie when asked what finally did in Apollo, and he said, "Time gets everyone. It's undefeated." It
is undefeated. Let's talk about. Great
line. Good line. Good job, Ryan Coogler. I think that kid's going places.
You can find a library of over 1,500 shows over at fanboy.com and wherever podcasts are sold. And never miss a show. Find out what the pick of the week is before the show comes out by following us at iFanboy Comics on Instagram and Threads, and iFanboy.com on Blue Sky. Individually, we are CS Kilpatrick on Instagram and Haupt Haupt on Instagram.
I was Haupt on the X platform. I'm Ryan Haupt on Instagram. I didn't get Haupt.
Oh, you changed your handle.
I didn't. No, I never changed it. That was the first Instagram handle I had. It was a typo in last
that's right.
script the last time I was on the show, and I didn't correct it in time. But
Ryan Haupt on Instagram.
Yeah.
Apologies.
There's a German menswear brand that's called the Haupt brand. So every once in a while, I'll get tagged with somebody saying they're going out in their Haupts tonight, looking good, hitting up the clubs.
That's like we used to have a website called Murmur for the old heads out there, and there was a club in Miami called Murmur, and we were constantly getting tweets at us about the club. And it was very fun. I started answering them for a while, which was fun for a little bit, and then we sold Murmur. All right, don't miss former iFanboy writer Jeff Reed's video deep dives into comic book history every Tuesday and Friday across our social channels and on YouTube.
Please consider writing us a review or leaving a star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to youtube.com/iFanboy, where you can watch a video version of this show, as well as our special edition shows, Jeff Reed's videos, and our archive of all our old video shows that we did from 2007 to 2012. And finally, join us on the iFanboy After Show exclusively on Patreon, where we will share our thoughts on all the other books we read this week, but didn't have time to make the show. That's at patreon.com/iFanboy for everyone at the $10 a month tier and up.
All right, that's it for this week's show. We hope Josh is enjoying his new life south of the border, free from falling objects and icy stairs.
Yes.
So that was the main thing, to get away from that.
He's a bandito now. So
he's doing something. We wish him well.
Cactus smuggling.
Thanks for coming in, Ryan. We appreciate it. Until next week. I am Connor.
And I am Ryan.
See you next week.
See you next week.